oceans. Oh, the oceans, they are rising, and so are we.
Dear Mayor Hamilton and the City of Bloomington, climate change is a crisis. Human civilization is facing an existential threat. Any excuse for inaction passed long ago. The City of Bloomington has offered encouraging words, but has failed to demonstrate a commitment to the radical climate action that is necessary in light of this emergency. The 2020 city budget was business as usual, but these times are dangerously unusual, and our house is on fire. And so, Mayor Hamilton and the Bloomington City Council declare a climate emergency. Climate change is an emergency, call it that, and act like it.
We love our people too much to go down that easily. Oh, the oceans, 2 more times, they are rising, and so are we. Oh, the oceans, they are rising, and so are we.
Climate action now, up front.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now! Climate justice!
I want to welcome you all to City Hall. This is your City Hall. I am so proud of Bloomington for what we're doing, along with thousands of places around the world. Today, we are in a climate crisis. You know that. It's going to take leadership from everybody to make this happen.
That's why we're here.
I know you're here, and it's a beautiful thing. I appreciate that.
So first, I do want to thank you for all of the great actions that Bloomington has done to become more sustainable with our solar energy and sustainable action plan, and helping to fund more bike lanes and stuff like that. But I respectfully, Mayor Hamilton, want to tell you that that is simply not enough.
Not enough! Not enough! Not enough! Not enough! Not enough! Not enough!
Not enough! Not enough! Not enough! Thank you, everybody. Thank you. As you know, our Amazon is burning up right now, and our sea levels are rising, and our globe is warming, and countries are literally going underwater, and our climate refugees, there are too many who have lost their homes because of climate change, and our air and water and land is being poisoned. Our earth is becoming inhabitable and is being scorched and polluted by people, and those people are the corporations and the CEO billionaires of fossil fuel organizations who have had their hold in politics and too much influence in our politics.
You're right.
Yes. And we don't need you to simply acknowledge these problems, so we want you to stand up and do more with our demands as well. I'm looking and look around at all of these young faces here right now. So, thank you. Yes. These faces are the people's futures who you have the power to impact or not.
Absolutely.
And you have power, and you need to use it. We, as a city government here in Bloomington, need to devote more resources to our climate emergency and prioritize climate action and justice as we approach it in all aspects of government. And that starts with our demands that we're going to reconvene today.
I'd like to start with the phrase about our house being on fire, because our house is on fire. But to paraphrase and translate into English, a Latin phrase, our neighbor's house is also on fire. Yes. And especially our neighbors in impoverished countries and impoverished areas, their house is on fire worse than ours. And it matters when other people's houses are on fire too. Our planet is on fire, and it's time to act. students are marching in solidarity around the world to show that we need climate action. We must act because we are in a climate crisis and we're facing an existential threat. Purdue researchers say that under a high emission scenario, southern Indiana might experience almost 100 extreme heat days per year late in the century, and that temperature deaths per year could double by nearly mid-century. Indiana's corn yields could decrease by 16 to 20% by mid-century. Soy yields could decline by 10%. Climate change will alter nearly every aspect of our lives. It will impact our economy, our homes, and our livelihoods. And those who are hit the hardest will be those who are already experiencing the greatest disadvantages. We've known about this for a long time, but we haven't seen action because corruption and lobbying keep the halls of power in the clutches of fossil fuel companies. Because the 5 largest oil and gas companies on the stock market spend almost $200 million per year to block, delay, and deny the policies we need to stop climate change. Again, let's come back to Indiana. Here in the Hoosier State, the gerrymandered Republican supermajority in our General Assembly has steadfastly prevented us from doing just about anything. In the 2019 legislative session, there were no bills with the word climate in their titles. There were 2 bills labeled with the word carbon, and neither met the deadlines to remain active. Here in Bloomington, we are fortunate to have a supportive city council and mayoral office, and we are counting on you to continue supporting efforts to mitigate and adapt to climate change. Obviously, much of what we have to do is at the national and international level, because this is a global problem. However, it is also crucial that we make changes at the local level. We must continue to support public transportation and make our city pedestrian and cyclist friendly. Purdue University's Indiana Climate Change Impact Assessment discusses the importance of urban green space, which saves Indianapolis $10 million annually through stormwater control, carbon sequestration, air pollution filtration, and other functions. Also, trees are beautiful. So yeah, we must also call on the state and federal governments to support us in a switch to renewable energy. We must work with our area universities and researchers to figure out how best to adapt to climate change. We must develop sustainable, affordable, and dense housing to increase urban density and make Bloomington a better and greener city. This is our planet, and we are all in this together. We are perched on the edge of environmental collapse. It's time for us to demonstrate. It's time for us to speak out. It's time for us to support plans to mitigate, to adapt to, and to end climate change. All of you here on the streets in the city, we appreciate you. We want you to do more, because now is time to act.
Dear Mayor Hamilton and the City of Bloomington, climate change is a crisis. Human civilization is facing an existential threat. Any excuse for inaction passed long ago. The City of Bloomington has offered encouraging words, but has sadly failed to demonstrate a commitment to the radical climate action that is necessary.
It's a climate emergency! And that is declaring a climate emergency!
Okay, has failed to demonstrate a commitment to the radical climate action that is necessary in light of this emergency. The 2020 city budget was business as usual, but these times are dangerously unusual. Our house is on fire. And so, Mayor Hamilton and the Bloomington City Council declare a climate emergency. people of Bloomington and the world, we demand that the City of Bloomington does 4 things. 1. Commit to reduce citywide greenhouse gas emissions to net zero by 2040, with a commitment to a 50% reduction by 2027. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change says the entire national economy needs to make a 50% reduction by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050 In order to be a leader, Bloomington needs to be far ahead of the curve to help it compensate for the rest of Indiana. Two, develop a concrete plan to get citywide emissions to net zero by 2040. Pass an appropriation ordinance to finance, create, develop, and execute a plan. The plan must address the role of Bloomington within the wider climate crisis, particularly in preparing local hospitality for climate refugees. Yes. 2-level Office of Sustainability and Climate Action for the city, and explicitly address and prioritize climate change in every city decision, including transportation, zoning, density, development, etc. 3, get the city of Bloomington to 60% tree coverage. Trees are a practical and inspiring tool of mitigation that are also beautiful. We are currently at 30% tree coverage. Half of these new trees should be food-bearing and from climate anticipatory zones. All right. 4, expand funding for sustainable housing, transit, and the local food economy. The working class are the ones who will be most affected by the catastrophe of climate change. Create a free and expanded public transport system funded by taxes and fees that disincentivize high-carbon private transport. Create pedestrian-friendly hubs throughout the city to ensure walkability for all residents. Increase institutional and financial investments in sustainable housing. Increase institutional and financial investments in the local food economy. There is much to be done and much we can do. We demand climate justice for everyone.
Mayor Hamilton, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for caring about this issue. We look forward to your concrete action. Thank you very much.
I was thrilled and honored to have the community come forward as they did today. It's a beautiful thing. The voice of young people have a particular power to say this is our planet that we're going to be living in for decades while some of us will be gone. And we need to take the steps today and tomorrow and next year and next decade to protect this planet. And it was really powerful. I'm so proud of them to come out here too.
A movement is growing in Bloomington right now, and this was the first day, not the only day. This is happening and we're going on, and students are organizing in their schools, people are organizing in their workplaces, and IU, we are going to be marching every Friday with Fridays for Future to treat this climate emergency like it is and act like it and demand action from our local government. and big government.
You know that people care about this issue, you know that it's important to people, but then to actually see people's bodies come out and sweat on a hot day is very encouraging. And it's just, I believe the time has passed for action. But there's so much we can do at the local level, and there's a lot of political will to up the game.
Too much carbon in the atmosphere. Hey, hey! What? It's hot in here. What? Too much carbon in the atmosphere. Hey, hey! It's hot in here. Too much carbon in the atmosphere.
Welcome to our climate strike. Yes. People walked out from Harmony School, from Project School, from Bloomington South, from Bloomington North, from Indiana University. Thank you. We are all here to demand climate action.
What do we want? Climate action! When do we want it? Now! What do we want?
Climate action!
When do we want it?
Now!
We demand climate justice. We demand immediate action, and we demand a Green New Deal to revitalize our broken economic system, to counteract systemic injustices, and to cut emissions to net zero by 2050. We are perched on the edge of environmental collapse. It is time for us, all of us, no matter who you are, it is time for us to unite behind a shared vision for the future. A future of equity and prosperity. A future where no child must live in fear of climate catastrophe.
Find your team so that you can do the most important step, which is fight. Do not let deniers tell you that this is not worth the time and energy, because it is not just the future, it is now. March, strike, yell, fight, because the world needs justice for the climate crisis. If you're young and in high school, you may feel hopeless. You may feel like you're out of options or that there's no solution. But there is a solution, and it's you. Thank you for striking, and I'll see you at the next one. Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? Yeah, period. Which side are you on now? Which side are you on? We know what side they're on, and we know what side we're going to make them be on.